Hi everybody. Today I'm going to talk about a couple of books. I get a lot of questions about books to read, authors. What do you think of Sylvia Browne? What do you think about this book or that book? I always tell people if you're drawn to a book, there's something in there you need to read. And it's not necessarily the entire book. That's why I'm a huge fan of the library. I can't see buying books that I'm just going to thumb through and maybe pick up a couple of things from and not really need it, as a tool. I mean, if you find a book that, and I've done this, I found books at the library that I was just like, oh, I got to have this book for myself, and then I go out and buy it. So there aren't many books that I do recommend. Again, I just tell you to go for what you're pulled towards. And before I take my books back to the library this week, I want to tell you about two new books. I usually don't recommend books by authors I've never heard of. And this is one of them. I've actually heard of this woman, and I don't know why or where. Her name is Rebecca Rosen, and she writes the book Spirited. Okay. And it just came out. It's not that old, so it's like, it's at your library. It just came out, so get it, read it. I liked it because she breaks everything down. She talks to you as if you know nothing, and even though I didn't need that, I like to read about other people, and the reason I pick books like this is I like to see how they write. As a writer, I'm always looking for other ways or better ways to get my information across to my readers. So I like how she wrote. I like how she doesn't assume you know what she's talking about. And she answers it as, I'm going to say a normal person would, a regular Joe would. I can tell that she hasn't been a medium for a long time. I believe she said about 10 years, but for me, honestly, that's not a long time. And you can tell through her writing that she's very new, but at the same time, she's a very good student. She's learned a lot. And so if you're looking for something, it's called Spirited. Actually, I think it's called something else. It's called Spirited, Connect to the Guides All Around You, by Rebecca Rose with Samantha Rose. And, it's a good book. Check it out if you're looking for information. And it's all over the place. It's all about mediumship. It's about her experiences. It's about some of her clients' experiences and what they went through and how they found relief through a medium. Again, this is more about death and dying. This is more about people finding relief because someone has crossed over. My writings is more about knowing your life and having a better life through those that watch over you. Another book I found, and I had to laugh when I saw it, several years ago. I want to say like maybe 2004, 5, 6, somewhere around there. I was reading O Magazine, and I'm not a big fan of buying magazines, but there was an article in there about 10-10-10. It's a principle that you apply to your life. It's, what will happen if I do that in 10 minutes, in 10 months, in 10 years. And, it can be anything. It can be 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, whatever that is to you. But the concept is to take an important decision you're making, or really any decision that you need to kind of step away from to make the choice. Because what happens is people so often second guess themselves. They either pass that intuitive phase, first you get an intuitive response of what you should do. And 9 times out of 10, we kind of let that go. And then we get to this phase that I'll call the gut response. And it's really not our gut. And she actually talks about that. This is the book I'm talking about. 10-10-10 by Susie Welch. And I was kind of taken back when I saw it in the library. I'm like, is that the same thing I had read about in the article? And the author, she kind of contradicts herself sometimes, which a lot of writers do. I do that sometimes too. She's very negative toward the gut reaction because she's all about her principle and her book. But what she doesn't realize is she's kind of assuming that your gut reaction and your intuition are the same thing, and that's really not always the case. Your intuition is that first response. Your gut reaction is kind of like your second response. And then when you go past the gut reaction, then you go into that third phase, which I'll call second guessing yourself. You start going, well, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that, maybe, you just keep going over and over in your head. And it's a week later and you haven't made a decision, when you should have made the decision when you first thought. And usually you come to that conclusion. But through her principle, what you do is you sit down and you say, okay, and I'll just give you an example myself. I'm moving to Colorado. That's my goal. That is like my goal this year, is to get myself to Colorado to open a healing center. And I was kind of, things weren't going the way I planned they would. And so I kind of stopped. When I got this book, I kind of stopped and I'm like, okay, I don't move to Colorado. What's going to happen in 10 minutes? Nothing really. Nothing will change. If I don't move to Colorado in 10 months, what will happen? Well, my life will be, pardon my French, half-assed backwards. I won't be on my path. I will be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Somehow I'll be off. And then other things in my life will be off track. And if I don't do it in 10 years, well then why am I here? My whole life will be off track. So then I go back to the beginning and I'm like, okay, 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, where is that breaking point for me? Because then I go back and it's like, okay, 10 minutes doesn't really mean that much. 1 week, maybe not so much. 1 month, oh, okay, now I'm starting to feel uncomfortable. Because in 1 month, I could be there. And everyone thinks that selling, that by moving, it's, for me, it's selling my property. And that, well, it's a bad market, you're not going to sell it. That's got nothing to do with it. People are still selling property left and right. Depends on what you want for it. Depends on how realistic you are. You don't have to give it away, but you can still be realistic. And when you're ready, what happens is, when you're ready and you just open the door and go, okay, I have to be there in a month. Because in a month, my life's going to start to get away from me. Then all of a sudden the buyer shows up. And guess what? The buyer's willing to pay what you want. Imagine that, because you just dropped, your energy just shifted. You just dropped this wall that was blocking you, and the wall was indecision, which is why I really like this book. But again, as with all books, read them in your own way. Take what you need, leave the rest behind. Like I said, she kind of bad mouths gut reactions, and again, she's trying to sell her book. But don't think that gut reactions are bad. Gut reactions are good because they get you thinking. The problem is you go from that intuitive state into that gut reaction, which throws you into the second guessing. When you get to that gut reaction, pull yourself back. What did my intuition say? And for myself, my intuition told me months ago I should have been gone. But I've been dragging my feet because of things outside of my control and personal things. And, when I finally stopped and looked, I went, those things are going to happen whether I'm here or not. Why am I letting those things affect me? Because they have nothing to do with my life. Honestly, they truly have nothing to do with this moment in my life. So yes, another great book, 10-10-10 by Susie Welch. And for all of you who wanted to know about Sylvia Browne's book, like them, love them. Same with James on Prague. Like them, love them, hate them. Some are great, some aren't. Again, go to the library, flip through, check them out. Check them out. Read them. What, it can't hurt. You're only educating yourself. So keep doing that. Keep educating yourself, because that's what life's all about. Because that's how you learn, that's how you grow, and that's how you have a fabulous life. Ciao.